The alien ship came down through Earth's sky like a falling diamond. Its crystal walls caught the morning sun and threw rainbow colors across the Nevada desert. Sand swirled up in small tornadoes as the massive vessel settled onto the ground. General Brad Turner stood with his back straight and his hands clasped behind him. The hot desert wind ruffled his gray hair. He had seen many things in his 40 years of military service, but nothing like this. Behind him, 50 soldiers waited in formation. Their fingers rested near their weapons, but they kept their hands steady. "Sir, the ship is opening," Colonel Lisa Martinez said quietly beside him. She was half his age, but twice as sharp. Her dark eyes tracked every movement of the alien craft. A doorway appeared in the crystal wall. It didn't slide or swing open. One moment there was solid crystal. The next moment there was an opening. Blue light spilled out onto the sand. The alien stepped out. Turner had seen the photos from the space telescopes. He had read the reports from the scientists, but seeing the being in person still made his throat tight. The alien stood 8 feet tall. Its body seemed to be made of pure light wrapped in a thin shell that looked almost human. Its face had features where a human face would have them, but they shifted and flowed like water. When it moved, it didn't quite walk. It sort of glided just above the ground. "Greetings, humans," the alien said. Its voice sounded like wind chimes and thunder mixed together. "I am Ambassador Zixneri of the Galactic Council. We come in peace to welcome you to the community of civilized worlds." Turner stepped forward. His boots crunched on the sand. "General Brad Turner, United Earth Defense Forces. Welcome to Earth." The alien's face shifted into what might have been a smile. "Excellent. I bring wonderful news. The Galactic Council has voted to offer humanity full membership. We will share our technology, our medicine, our knowledge of the universe. No more disease. No more hunger. No more war. You will join us among the stars." Behind Turner, some of the younger soldiers shifted excitedly. He heard whispers about flying cars and immortality drugs, but Turner's face stayed hard as stone. "That's a generous offer," Turner said slowly. "What exactly would Earth need to do in return?" The alien's light pulsed brighter. "Simply accept our guidance. Allow us to uplift your species. We have done this for thousands of worlds. We will solve your problems, end your conflicts, advance your science by millennia." Turner nodded as if considering this. He looked back at Martinez, who gave him the smallest shake of her head. They had discussed this moment for months. Earth's leaders had debated in secret sessions. The decision had been made. "Ambassador," Turner said, turning back to face the alien. "On behalf of the United Earth government, I must inform you that humanity declines your offer." The alien's flowing features froze. Its light dimmed. "I do not understand. Perhaps I have not explained clearly. We offer you paradise, an end to all suffering." "We understood perfectly," Turner replied. "The answer is no." "But why?" The alien's form flickered with confusion. "You are a young species. You have barely reached your own moon. Your world suffers from war, poverty, climate damage. We can fix all of this." Turner smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "Those are our problems to solve, our wars to end, our world to heal. Humanity chooses to find its own way." The alien stood silent for a long moment. Around them, the desert wind whistled. The crystal ship hummed softly. "This is unprecedented," Zixneri finally said. "No species has ever refused our offer. You doom yourselves to centuries of unnecessary hardship." "Maybe," Turner agreed, "but they'll be our centuries, our hardships, our victories when we overcome them." The alien's form shifted through several colors. "I must report this to the Council. They will not understand." "Then help them understand," Turner said. "Humanity walks its own path." The alien turned and glided back toward its ship. At the doorway, it paused. "We will return with a better offer." "Our answer won't change," Turner called after it. The doorway sealed. The ship lifted silently into the sky. Turner watched until it disappeared into the blue. Martinez stepped up beside him. "Think they'll be back, sir?" Turner smiled grimly. "Count on it. And when they come, we'll be ready." The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched for miles in every direction. The ceiling floated so high above that clouds formed near the top. Beings from 1,000 different worlds filled the massive room. Some floated, some crawled, some existed as pure energy, while others were made of rock or metal or stranger things. High Counselor Threndel sat at the center of it all. The ancient being looked like a living crystal sculpture. When it spoke, its whole body vibrated like a struck bell. Today, those vibrations carried confusion and worry. "Ambassador Zixneri," Threndel's voice rang out. "Please repeat what the humans told you. Surely we misunderstood." Zixneri floated to the center of the chamber. Its light form flickered with embarrassment. "There was no misunderstanding, High Counselor. The humans refused our offer. They said no." A wave of shock rolled through the chamber. The Vortari delegate, a creature that looked like a giant jellyfish with too many tentacles, flashed angry red colors. "Impossible. No species refuses the council." "And yet the humans did," Zixneri replied. Their leader, General Turner, was very clear. They choose to develop on their own. The mechanoid representative, a being of living metal and glowing circuits, made a sound like gears grinding. "Did you explain properly? Did you show them what we offer?" "I offered them everything," Zixneri said. "End to disease, end to hunger, end to war. Advanced technology, space travel, immortality. They refused it all." The chamber erupted in hundreds of different languages and sounds. Some delegates buzzed like angry bees. Others growled or chirped or sang their disbelief. The translation systems worked overtime to make sense of the chaos. High Counselor Threndel struck the floor with its crystal staff. The sound rang out like a giant gong, and silence fell. "Order. We must have order." The ancient crystal being leaned forward. "Tell us exactly what happened. Every word." Zixneri projected a hologram of the meeting in the desert. The council watched Turner's calm refusal. They saw the determination in his eyes. They heard his words about walking their own path. When the recording ended, the chamber stayed quiet. Then the luminary delegate, a being made of pure thought and starlight, spoke softly. "They are either the wisest species we have encountered, or the most foolish." "Foolish," snapped the Vortari. "They are primitive. They still fight wars with explosive weapons. Their planet is dying from pollution. They need us." "Do they?" asked the luminary. "Or do we need them to need us?" That question hung in the air like smoke. The council members shifted uncomfortably. For 1,000,000 years, they had brought younger species into their fold. It was their purpose, their duty. No one had ever questioned it before. High Counselor Threndel's crystal body darkened with concern. "We cannot leave them to destroy themselves. It would be wrong. But forcing them would also be wrong," the luminary pointed out. The mechanoid delegate circuits flashed rapidly. "I have analyzed their technological progress. They advance faster than any species on record. What took us thousands of years, they achieve in decades. Perhaps there is something to their method." Chaos. The Vortari delegates' tentacles writhed. They advanced through war and conflict, through pain and death. "Our way is better." "Is it?" the luminary asked again. "When did any of us last create something truly new? We share old knowledge. They create fresh knowledge." High Counselor Threndel raised its staff again. "Enough debate. We will send another delegation, a larger one. We will offer them specific solutions to their specific problems. Show them exactly how we can help." "And if they refuse again?" Zixneri asked. The High Counselor's crystal form flickered with uncertainty. "No species can refuse forever. They will see reason. They must." But deep in its ancient consciousness, Threndel felt something it hadn't felt in millennia. Doubt. The humans had done the unthinkable. They had said no to paradise. The council dispersed to prepare their new offer. But in the corridors and meeting rooms, delegates whispered questions that had never been asked before. What if the humans were right? What if struggle led to strength? What if the easy path wasn't always the best path? For the first time in a million years, the Galactic Council faced something they didn't understand, and that terrified them more than any war ever could. The United Nations building in New York had seen many important meetings, but never one like this. Dr. Kevin Walsh adjusted his tie for the 10th time. As Earth's first xenodiplomat, he carried the weight of the planet on his shoulders. Next to him, Admiral Grace Chen sat perfectly still, her naval uniform crisp and her face unreadable. "They're here," Chen said quietly, nodding toward the window. 3 alien ships descended from the clouds. Unlike the single crystal ship from the first contact, these vessels looked completely different from each other. One seemed made of liquid metal, constantly shifting shape. Another appeared to be a giant plant, with leaves and vines forming its hull. The third looked like pure mathematics given form, all angles and impossible geometry. The aliens had come in force this time. In the main assembly hall, human delegates from every nation waited nervously. Some whispered prayers. Others checked their phones one last time. The air felt electric with tension. The doors opened. 7 aliens entered the room. Ambassador Kretok led the group. The silicon-based being looked like a walking mountain of crystal and metal. Behind it came representatives from 6 different council species. A beam of pure plasma floated near the ceiling. A creature that seemed to be made of dark matter shifted in and out of visible space. There was even something that looked like a giant brain in a jar of glowing fluid. "Greetings, humans." Kretok's voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "We come with expanded offers based on your specific needs." Walsh stood and bowed slightly. "Welcome to Earth. We are honored by your visit. Let us not waste time." Kretok said, "We have studied your world's problems. Observe." The room darkened. Holographic displays filled the air. The aliens showed wonders beyond imagination. "For your climate crisis," Kretok announced, "atmospheric processors that can remove all excess carbon in 1 year." Images of giant machines appeared, sucking pollution from the sky. Dead forests turned green. Melting ice caps froze again. Dying oceans teemed with life. "For your diseases," the plasma being added, its voice like crackling fire, "medical nanobots that repair any damage, cure any illness, extend life indefinitely." The holograms showed tiny robots swimming through blood vessels, fixing hearts, destroying cancer, reversing aging. "For your conflicts," the brain creature pulsed, "neural harmonizers that eliminate aggression and create perfect understanding between all minds." Images of soldiers dropping weapons and embracing appeared. Angry crowds became peaceful gatherings. Politicians shook hands and smiled. "For your resource shortages," the dark matter being whispered, "matter replicators that create anything from pure energy." The displays showed machines producing food, water, gold, anything humans could want, from thin air. Walsh watched it all with careful eyes. When the presentation ended and the lights came back on, he cleared his throat. "These are impressive technologies. We thank you for your thorough research into our challenges. Then you accept." Kretok leaned forward eagerly. Walsh glanced at Admiral Chen, who gave a tiny shake of her head. He turned back to the aliens. "We must again respectfully decline." The Silicon Ambassador's crystal parts scraped together in frustration. "Why? We offer solutions to every problem you face." "That's exactly the issue." Chen spoke for the first time. Her voice carried quiet authority. "They're your solutions, not ours." The plasma being flared brighter. "You would let your people suffer when we can end that suffering." "Suffering teaches," Walsh replied. "Pain drives innovation. Struggle creates strength. If you remove all our challenges, what remains of human spirit?" You speak of spirit while children starve. The brain creature pulsed angrily. We work every day to feed those children, Chen said firmly. Each solution we create, each problem we solve, makes us stronger, better, more human. Kretak's crystal body darkened. You are either very brave or very foolish. Maybe both, Walsh smiled. But we earned that bravery through facing our fears. We learned wisdom through making mistakes. Take away our problems, and you take away our growth. The alien delegation fell silent, the dark matter being shifted through several dimensions before speaking. What if we simply leave the technology and let you discover how it works? Then we might never develop our own answers, Chen replied. We'd become archaeologists instead of inventors, scholars of your achievements instead of creators of our own. The plasma being cooled to a deep blue. You truly choose the hard path, even knowing what it costs. Especially knowing what it costs, Walsh said. The price of growth is worth paying. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with worried energy. This time, military commanders stood alongside the diplomats. Their presence changed the feeling of the room from confusion to threat. Commander Vrexel of the peacekeeping forces looked like a giant praying mantis made of blue metal. Its compound eyes reflected the chamber's lights in 1,000 directions. When it spoke, its mandibles clicked in rhythm with its words. The humans are becoming dangerous, Vrexel announced. In the 6 months since first contact, they have made technological leaps that should have taken centuries. High Counselor Threndel's crystal form pulsed with concern. Show us your evidence, Commander. Vrexel activated a holographic display. Images filled the air showing human activity around Earth and its moon. Look here, the commander pointed with one razor-sharp limb. They have expanded their lunar bases by 300%. These structures use shield harmonics similar to our own technology. The Vortari delegate's tentacles curled in shock. Impossible. They couldn't have developed such technology alone. They didn't. Vrexel clicked. They studied our ships during the peaceful contacts. From passive sensor readings alone, they reverse-engineered our basic shield principles. The chamber erupted in alarmed chatter. The mechanoid representative's circuits flashed rapidly. I have analyzed their research patterns. They work differently than any species we know. They make wild guesses, test everything, fail repeatedly, then suddenly succeed. It is chaos, but effective chaos. Frendel struck the floor for silence. How significant are these advances? Significant enough to concern me, Vrexel replied. They now have energy weapons that could damage our smaller vessels. Their space fleet has grown from 12 ships to over 50. They move through space like predators, testing boundaries, learning patterns. The luminary delegate floated forward, its thought form shimmering. I have been monitoring their communications. They call this period the Great Leap. Every human nation is working together for the first time in their history. Our refusal united them against us. The Vortari asked, tentacles turning purple with fear. United them for themselves, the luminary corrected. They speak of proving humanity's worth, of earning their place among the stars. They see our presence as a challenge, not a threat. Commander Vrexel's mandibles clicked sharply. Challenge or threat? They are advancing too quickly. I have reports of human probes approaching the asteroid belt. They search for resources to build even more ships. High Counselor Threndel's crystal body darkened to almost black. What do you recommend, Commander? Containment, Vrexel said without hesitation. We establish a blockade around their solar system. Prevent them from expanding further until they accept Council guidance. The suggestion sent shockwaves through the chamber. The Council had never blockaded a species before. They offered membership, not imprisonment. That could be seen as an act of war, warned the Ancient Preserver's delegate, a being that looked like living tree bark. It is for their own protection, Vrexel insisted, and ours. If they continue advancing at this rate, they could destabilize the entire galactic order. The mechanoid's lights blinked thoughtfully. There is another concern. Their creativity and problem-solving exceeds our predictive models. They find solutions we never imagined. If we force containment, they might innovate in ways we cannot foresee. That is exactly my fear. Vrexel clicked. They are unpredictable, dangerous. High Counselor Threndel remained silent for long moments. The entire chamber waited for its decision. Finally, the ancient being spoke. We will prepare for containment, but not implement it yet. Send one final diplomatic mission. Make clear the consequences of continued refusal. If they still reject council authority, the crystal form flickered with reluctance. Then we will have no choice. After the session ended, small groups of delegates gathered in corners, whispering. The luminary found the preserver's delegate in a quiet alcove. You feel it too, the luminary stated rather than asked. The tree-like being rustled its leaves. Yes, we are making a terrible mistake. The humans, they remind me of what we once were, before we became comfortable, before we stopped growing. What can we do? Watch, wait, and hope the humans are as clever as they seem. They may need to teach the teachers a lesson. In the military wing of the council station, Commander Vrexel reviewed battle plans. It had fought pirates, settled border disputes, and maintained peace for millennia. But as it studied human tactical patterns, something cold settled in its thorax. 200 alien ships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. They didn't try to hide. The massive fleet arranged itself in a perfect sphere around the sun, trapping humanity's home system inside. Admiral Jake Foster stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiant, humanity's newest warship. His crew worked with quiet efficiency, tracking the alien vessels on their screens. Foster had gray temples now. The stress of the last year had aged him, but his eyes remained sharp. Sir, they're broadcasting. Lieutenant Carol Barnes reported from communications. Put it through, Foster ordered. The main screen filled with the image of Supreme Commander Zorak. The alien military leader looked like a combination of dragon and machine, with metal scales and glowing red eyes. Its voice boomed through the bridge. Humans of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Zorak of the Galactic Council Peacekeeping Forces. You have refused our peaceful offers. You have developed dangerous technologies. You have expanded beyond your allowed boundaries. This ends now. Foster keyed his microphone. This is Admiral Foster of the United Earth Defense Forces. You are trespassing in our solar system. State your intentions. Our intentions are simple, Zorak growled. Submit to council authority or face complete isolation. We will blockade your system. No ship will enter or leave. You will remain confined until you see reason. Foster's jaw tightened. You're talking about imprisoning our entire species. We are talking about protecting the galaxy from your chaotic influence. Zorak replied. You have one Earth day to decide. Submit or be contained. The transmission ended. Foster turned to his crew. Signal all Earth forces. Conference in 30 minutes. Back on Earth, President Amanda Clark addressed the world from the Oval Office. She had been a fighter pilot before entering politics. That experience showed in her steady voice. My fellow humans, she began. Today, alien forces have surrounded our solar system. They demand our submission. They threaten to cage us like animals if we refuse. She paused, looking directly into the camera. They want us to give up our freedom, to stop growing, to stop dreaming, to become pets in their galactic zoo. Clark's eyes hardened. Our answer is no. We will not submit. We will not surrender. And we will not be caged. Across the world, people watched their screens. In Beijing, Moscow, London, Delhi, and every city and village, humanity held its breath. They think we're primitive because we're young, Clark continued. They think we're weak because we struggle. They think we're dangerous because we dare to find our own path. She leaned forward. They're about to learn that humans don't accept cages. Operation Free Sky begins now. Within minutes, hidden facilities across Earth, the Moon, and Mars came to life. Massive doors opened in crater floors. Camouflaged hangars revealed themselves. Ships that shouldn't have existed rose into space. Admiral Foster watched his tactical display fill with new contacts. All human vessels, this is Defiant, form up by squadrons. Remember your training. Today, we show them what humanity is made of. The alien fleet detected the human ships emerging. Commander Zorak's scaled face appeared on screens throughout the blockade fleet. What is this? Intelligence reported only 50 human vessels. I count over 200. His second-in-command, a gelatinous being in an encounter suit, quivered nervously. Sir, they must have built them in secret. But how? Our surveillance showed nothing. Underground facilities, Zorak realized. They hid their construction underground and in crater shadows. Clever primitives. On the Defiant, Foster studied the alien formation. The Council ships were arranged in perfect geometric patterns. Everything about them screamed order and discipline. They fight like they think. Foster murmured to his executive officer, Commander Ashley Wong. Everything in its proper place. Everything by the book. Wong grinned. Good thing we never read their book, sir. Foster keyed the fleet-wide channel. All ships, execute scatter pattern alpha. Let's show these aliens what chaos looks like. The human fleet exploded into motion. Instead of forming traditional battle lines, they scattered in seemingly random directions. Small groups of ships darted toward asteroids. Others powered up strange devices that the aliens couldn't identify. On his command ship, Zorak watched in confusion. What are they doing? This makes no tactical sense. His tactical officer, a crystalline being, flickered with uncertainty. Unknown, Commander. Their movements follow no recognized battle doctrine. They appear to be improvising. All ships, Zorak ordered, maintain formation. Prepare to. Captain Danny Rivera gripped his command chair as the Prometheus rolled hard to port. Outside the viewports, alien energy beams sliced through space where his ship had been seconds before. Wolfpack 7, scatter and regroup at Point Echo, Rivera ordered. His squadron of 5 destroyers broke formation, each ship taking a different path through the asteroid field. On the alien command ship, Supreme Commander Zorak watched his tactical display with growing frustration. Why won't they stay still? Order the Third Fleet to box them in. But the human ships refused to be boxed. They used asteroids as shields, Jupiter's radiation as cover, and even their own engine wash as weapons. Nothing fought the way the Council expected. Lieutenant Emma Scott, tactical officer on the Prometheus, called out, Sir, I've identified their command structure. Every time they give an order, there's a 2-second delay before their ships respond. Rivera's eyes lit up. They're using centralized command. Everything goes through their flagship. He keyed his comm. All Wolfpack ships, target their communication arrays. Let's see how they fight without their precious order. The human destroyers swept in from 5 directions. They fired missiles loaded with electromagnetic pulse warheads. The weapons weren't meant to destroy ships, just to scramble communications. Alien shields flickered as the EMPs detonated. Suddenly, Council ships found themselves unable to receive orders. Some continued their last commands. Others stopped, waiting for instructions that wouldn't come. Now, Rivera shouted, hit them while they're confused. The human ships pressed their attack. They used weapons the aliens had never seen before. Kinetic rounds made from compressed asteroid material. Missiles that split into dozens of smaller warheads. Even modified mining lasers that could cut through shields designed only for energy weapons. Across the battle space, similar scenes played out. Human forces refused to fight by established rules. They rammed smaller alien ships. They used civilian freighters as explosive traps. They even broadcast heavy metal music on all frequencies, jamming alien communications with what the Council forces could only describe as audio chaos. On Earth's moon, hidden mass drivers launched projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. The aliens hadn't expected attacks from a civilian base. 3 Council cruisers took direct hits before they could raise shields. "This is impossible," Zorak roared as another status report showed Council losses mounting. "They're using primitive kinetic weapons. Their ships are held together with welded steel. How are they winning?" His science officer, a being of pure energy, pulsed with realization. "Commander, they're not fighting our technology. They're fighting our psychology. We expect order. They give us chaos. We follow rules. They make new ones." In the asteroid belt, Captain Maria Santos led her mining ships in an ambush. The converted vessels had been fitted with massive drill bits meant for breaking asteroids. Now they emerged from hiding and attacked a Council battleship. "Remember," Santos told her bridge crew, "we're not trying to win a fair fight. We're trying to survive. And humans are really good at surviving." The drill ships punched through the battleship's shields at close range. The alien vessel, designed for long-range energy duels, couldn't target something attached to its own hull. Santa's crews boarded through the drill holes, bringing electromagnetic grenades that disrupted the ship's systems. Commander Vrexel, leading the Council's second wave, clicked its mandibles in disbelief. "The humans are boarding our ships. They're using chemical explosives. Some of them are fighting with projectile weapons that use explosive powder." Throughout the solar system, the pattern repeated. Human ships appeared where they shouldn't be. They used tactics that made no sense. They turned weaknesses into strengths and broke every rule of civilized warfare. Admiral Foster coordinated from the Defiant. Status report: 17 Council ships disabled, 5 destroyed, reported Commander Wong. "They're pulling back to regroup." Foster nodded grimly. "Signal all forces. Phase 2 begins now. Time to show them our real surprise." Hidden bases on Mars activated. New ships emerge, ships built with barely understood hybrid technology. Human creativity combined with reverse-engineered alien systems. The results were ugly, unstable, and incredibly effective. The Council fleet had come expecting to fight primitives. Instead, they faced an enemy that turned chaos into a weapon, that saw rules as things to break, and that refused to accept defeat as an option. The impossible war had turned. The teachers were learning a painful lesson about underestimating humanity's will to remain free. The ceasefire request came after 3 days of battle. High Counselor Threndel itself appeared on the communication screens, its crystal form pulsing with colors humans had never seen before. The ancient being had traveled to the edge of Earth's solar system to speak directly with humanity's leaders. The meeting took place aboard the neutral station orbiting Titan. It was a human mining facility, hastily converted for diplomacy. General Diane Patterson represented Earth's military forces. She had been a philosophy professor before becoming a soldier. That unique background made her perfect for this moment. Threndel's crystalline body barely fit through the station's corridors. When it entered the meeting room, its presence filled the space with an almost musical hum. Behind it came representatives from various Council species, all looking somewhat subdued. General Patterson. Threndel's voice resonated like crystal bells. "We request an explanation." Patterson sat calmly at the human side of the table. Her uniform showed scorch marks from recent combat, but her eyes were steady. "An explanation of what, exactly?" "Of this." Threndel gestured to a holographic display, showing the battle's aftermath. Disabled Council ships drifted in space. Human vessels, many damaged but still functional, patrolled the system. "You were supposed to be primitive. Outmatched. Unable to resist our technology." Patterson allowed herself a small smile. "We never claimed to be primitive. You assumed it." The Vorteri delegate's tentacles writhed. "You used chemical explosives, projectile weapons. You rammed our ships like barbarians." "We used what worked," Patterson replied simply. "You came to cage us. We defended our freedom. The methods were less important than the result." Threndel's form shifted to deeper blue. "But why? Why refuse our gifts? Why choose this violent path?" Patterson leaned forward. "Let me ask you something, High Counselor. When was the last time your people faced a real challenge? When did you last solve a problem that seemed impossible?" The ancient being was quiet for a long moment. "I cannot remember." "Exactly," Patterson said. "You've had everything easy for so long. You've forgotten how to struggle, how to grow. You hand younger species solutions, but you rob them of the journey to find those solutions." The luminary delegate floated forward. "But the suffering we prevent also prevents growth," Patterson interrupted. "Pain teaches. Failure instructs. Hardship builds character. You offer paradise, but paradise makes people soft." She stood and walked to the viewport. Outside, Earth shone blue and white in the distance. "Look at our world. It's harsh, unpredictable. It tries to kill us with storms, earthquakes, diseases, and because of that, we learn to adapt, to overcome, to never give up." Frendel's crystalline structure hummed thoughtfully. "You're saying our kindness is actually cruelty." "I'm saying your kindness is a cage," Patterson replied. "A comfortable cage, but still a cage. Humanity chooses freedom. The freedom to fail. The freedom to learn. The freedom to become something greater through our own efforts." The room fell silent. The alien delegates exchanged looks that crossed species boundaries. For the first time in eons, they questioned their most basic assumptions. "Your battle tactics," the mechanoid representative suddenly spoke. "They were so random, chaotic. We couldn't predict them." Patterson nodded. "Because we don't think like you. You've optimized everything. Made it efficient, predictable. We thrive in chaos because that's where innovation lives. In the messy edges, in the broken rules, in the what-if questions you stopped asking." Frendel's form began shifting through a spectrum of colors. The other delegates recognized this as deep contemplation, something they hadn't seen from their leader in millennia. "You have given us much to consider," the High Counselor finally said. "We came to teach, but perhaps we need to learn." "That's a start," Patterson agreed. "Here's our proposal. We'll agree to peace, but on equal terms. No more offers of uplift. No more attempts to control our development. Instead, let us grow at our own pace, make our own mistakes, find our own path. And if that path leads to conflict with other species," the Vortari asked, "then we'll handle it," Patterson said firmly. "Just like we handled you. Not because we're stronger, but because we're willing to do whatever it takes to remain free." Frendel's hum rose in pitch. "You ask us to abandon our purpose, to let species suffer when we could help." "No," Patterson shook her head. "I ask you to redefine help. Sometimes the best help is letting someone find their own way. Be guides, not controllers. Teachers, not masters. Partners, not parents." 5 years passed like a heartbeat. The Galactic Council withdrew their blockade and watched from a distance as humanity tackled its own problems. They observed with fascination and sometimes horror as humans stumbled, fell, got up, and tried again. Earth's scientists worked day and night. They failed more often than they succeeded. Prototype ships exploded. Experimental power sources melted down. The first attempts at faster-than-light travel sent unmanned probes into the hearts of stars or scattered their atoms across space. But humans kept trying. Ambassador Tommy Brooks stood before the Galactic Council for the first time. Behind him, the doors of the Grand Chamber remained open. Outside, the impossible gleamed in the starlight. Earth's first true FTL starship, the Unity. It was ugly by Council standards, a patchwork of human innovation and barely understood physics. But it had crossed the galaxy in 3 weeks. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," Brooks began, his voice steady but warm. "Humanity comes to you today, not as supplicants, but as equals. We've earned our place among the stars." High Counselor Threndel had changed in 5 years. Its crystalline form showed new patterns, new colors. The ancient being had been learning from humanity's example. Ambassador Brooks, Frendel resonated. Your arrival is unexpected. Our scientists calculated it would take humans at least 50 years to develop FTL technology. Brooks grinned, the kind of smile that had gotten him both into and out of trouble his whole life. Your scientists forgot to factor in human stubbornness. We don't like being told something's impossible. Ripples of amusement passed through the chamber. Even the Vortari delegate's tentacles curled in what might have been laughter. We've been watching your progress, the mechanoid representative admitted. Your approach to FTL is unique. You literally punch holes in space-time. If it works, it works, Brooks shrugged. It's not pretty, but neither was our first airplane. We'll refine it over time. The luminary delegate floated forward. You've also made remarkable progress with your other challenges. Global temperatures have stabilized. New food production methods feed your growing population. You've even begun healing your oceans. And we did it our way. Brooks nodded. With sweat, arguments, failures, and breakthroughs. It wasn't easy. People suffered along the way. But we learned. We grew stronger. Frendel's form pulsed thoughtfully. You lost many lives in your experiments. Your space program alone cost hundreds of volunteers. They knew the risks, Brooks said solemnly. They chose to face them. Every human who died pushing our boundaries did so willingly, proudly. Their sacrifice means something because they chose it. The chamber fell quiet. In the years since the blockade, several younger species had requested the human option, the right to develop independently. The council had reluctantly agreed, and the results were mixed but fascinating. So, Frendel finally asked, what does humanity want from the Galactic Council now? Brooks straightened his suit jacket. Partnership. Real partnership. We'll share our discoveries, but we won't give them away freely. We'll help other species, but only if they ask. We'll join your alliance, but as equals with our own voice. He paused, then added with a mischievous glint in his eye, oh, and we noticed some flaws in your shield technology. The frequency modulation is vulnerable to certain harmonics. We figured out how to exploit it during the blockade. Want to compare notes? The council members shifted uneasily. Several military advisors looked distinctly uncomfortable. Frendel's crystal form brightened with what might have been amusement. You mean you could have broken our shields at any time during the conflict? Pretty much, Brooks admitted. But where's the fun in that? We learned more by working around them. Plus, we figured you'd appreciate the irony. Your attempt to contain us made us innovate faster. For the first time in recorded history, the entire Galactic Council laughed. The sound filled the chamber like music, each species expressing joy in its own way. Welcome to the galactic community, humans, Frendel announced formally. Try not to break too many things. Brooks laughed. No promises. But I think you'll find our way of doing things refreshing. As the ceremony concluded, delegates crowded around the human ambassador. They had questions about shield frequencies, FTL mathematics, and something called duct tape that humans claimed could fix anything. Outside, the Unity floated beside sleek council vessels. It looked like a pile of scrap metal compared to their elegant ships, but it had arrived under its own power, built by human hands, paid for with human sweat and tears.